Welcome to the Backyard Professor Responds videos. News on 3i Atlas keeps churning in. And there's no question, this thing has some very unique and interesting and bizarre characteristics. I've seen reports for the last couple of days where it had, now that it's out from behind the sun, it has broken up into at least 16 pieces, according to Avi Loeb, and I want to check into that. I've also found some more information on the return of the blue Kachina of the Hopi prophecies, and I want to share my ideas on that again as well with a new update. We're going to take a deep breath. We're going to step back from the noise of YouTube prophecy chasing, and we're going to look at one of the most spectacular visitors of our solar system that we have seen in decades, 3i Atlas. So it's a wild, dynamic, mysterious, and gorgeous something coming through our solar system. It's amazing how people are very sensitive about calling it a comet, because perhaps they really do want this to be a mother ship. Okay, well, let's call it an object then. We see headlines: the comet broke into 16 pieces. There's been an explosion. And now they're going to change their trajectory and they're going to rain upon the earth, and it's the end times. We're doomed. We don't have a chance, etc. It's the blue Kachina. The prophecy is fulfilled. All right, hold on. We're going to take a look. How do scientists tell a real breakup of a comet from clickbait? That's what I want to talk about. The idea of exploding into 16 pieces is making the rounds. Where did this claim come from? Avi Loeb, Harvard astrophysicist. But wait, let's see what he really said. Yes, it's one of those. They love misquoting Michio Kaku, Brian Cox, and now Avi Loeb. So let's get straight to the skinny. He wrote a model-based post arguing that if 3i Atlas was losing as much gas as he estimated, it would need a surface area much larger than a single solid comet core could provide. So he said, if it's natural, it may have fragmented into at least 16 pieces. But, and this is key, that was never based on images of 16 fragments. It was just an energetic calculation that he was talking about. Within 48 hours, brand new telescope images showed that it was just no fragmentation at all involved. It's just one central body. And I come with the receipts. This image of 3i Atlas was taken yesterday, the day when everyone started saying, Avi Loeb said this thing has broke up into 16 pieces. That is not what Avi Loeb said. And here is the evidence showing the reality. That is our 3i Atlas. Within 48 hours, brand new telescope images showed no fragmentation, one central body. So Loeb himself updated his conclusion. Now listen, meanwhile, the internet stayed stuck on the older version because, well, headlines sell. Nuances don't sell. How do scientists detect a real breakup? You look at that photograph and you tell me you see 16 pieces. You'd be lying your ass off. You see one solid piece. Scientists distinguish real fragmentation through multiple independent signatures. What does that mean? Different kinds of evidence coming from different methods that all point to the same conclusion without depending on each other. In other words, We don't have just one clue, but a whole cluster of different and separate indicators, each confirming the same thing. That's what scientists like. Why? Because they don't want to be fooled by an optical illusion, a glitch, a weird angle, a bad measurement, or a viral rumor. So let's break it down. If a comet really breaks apart, and you don't see it in this photograph, that's 3i Atlas right there, just yesterday. We expect to see all of these independent clues, the visual evidence in the images. Take a look at that. Independent signature number one, there would be multiple bright spots, which of course are individual fragment nuclei. You don't see it here. Each one moving slightly on its own. Nope, there's just one chunk here. Separated far enough to be resolved. Nope, there's just one piece. This alone doesn't prove breakup, but it's the most obvious sign. Dust behavior changes. Now, the amazing thing about this photograph is it really does show a pretty big tail now. Now that it's gone, perihelion, closest to the sun, that's come out around from behind it, it's going to be closest to Earth in early December, so we'll keep our eyes peeled on this. But if a comet fractures, the dust output changes dramatically. Multiple dust plumes. You don't see that here. Forked or fan-shaped tails. You don't see that here either. Overlapping dust fans from each fragment. Nope, not on this separate picture. This is 3i Atlas as a whole chunk. You would have orbital changes. The observed trajectory stops matching the predicted path. We don't have that. You get tiny deviations. We have a few, but not very many. It's still on track. Data suddenly fit better as multiple bodies than as one, but it's only one body. This is measured entirely by motion, not appearance. The motion of 3i Atlas is as if it is one item because, as you can see, it is just one item. There's your evidence. Photometric spikes and crashes. What about those? Are those telltale clues? Absolutely they are. Without question, they are telltale clues. When a comet breaks apart, it suddenly exposes fresh ice from the inside. So you're going to have a big brightening spike. Then the fresh surface sublimates, and you're going to have very rapid dimming. This is a light curve signature, separate from images and orbital data. And we have spectral fingerprints. If a new fragment exposes interior ices, the gas ratios change from carbon, carbon-2, H2O, CN, other elements. Spectra suddenly show fresh material indicators. That is not what we see with 3i Atlas. Yes, I understand it's changing color into blue. There is a perfectly natural explanation for that I'm going to share with you just shortly. This chemical clue is helpful. Now, each one of these is a different scientific tool, right? With imaging, we show the shape of the object. With dust morphology, we show its behavior. With astrometry, boy, I'm tongue-tied tonight, that tracks the motion. With photometry, it measures the brightness. And with spectroscopy, it reveals the chemistry. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different types of evidences that we have all been pointing at with 3i Atlas, and we have none of them. They don't depend on each other, but so if all of them show any signs of breakups, the case is, no pun intended, rock solid. The fact is, 3i Atlas has one central nucleus, as you saw. It has normal dust behavior. It has orbit still fits a single body. It is no brightness crash involved with it, and there's no sudden new interior ices. There is 0 independent signatures of fragmentation, so the 16 pieces talk is pure clickbait. That's what I'm telling you. When scientists say multiple independent signatures, they mean you just don't trust one clue. We want lots of clues from different directions, all telling the same story. With 3-eye atlas, every single method shows one intact comet, not a shattered one. Atlas is exhibiting very strong outgassing. And what this does is it produces a long ion tail. Let me show you this again, because finally we're beginning to see that. There it is, a long ion tail. Jets that very rapidly, and a sunward anti-tail, interestingly enough. It's super high with CO2 and H2O ratios, and it's got signs of energetic interaction with the solar wind. So this makes it look dramatic, maybe even a little bit chaotic. But dramatic is not the same as a destroyed comet. That it is not. So the verdict, the comet is extremely active. We know that. But there's no evidence of a major breakup, let alone 16 different pieces. And that's how real science stays grounded while YouTube chases the shock factor with AI voicing, no less. So on the blue Kachina and the blue comet narrative. So is 3-eye atlas the blue Kachina of Hopi prophecy? I don't think so. This one mixes culture, myth, color, and astronomical reality, so it's a lot of fun to look at. Why then does it turn blue? I looked into the science of this, and I'll share it with you. Because the comet's gases, especially carbon dioxide and regular carbon and nitrogen that are ionized by the sunlight and by the solar wind, they emit light on the blue to the blue-green wavelengths when they relax back down. So dust is reddish with the sunlight reflection, and the gas ions themselves are a bluish emission light. Earlier views emphasized the dust, which looked sort of on the reddish end. Absolutely. New near-sun activity emphasizes the gas, the carbons, the nitrogens, and those are bluish. It didn't change color as a magical or mystical sign for everyone on Earth to see. We are simply seeing different parts of the comet more strongly now because it's a lot closer than it was. What are CO and N2 in a comet's tail? They are ionized molecules. Essentially, they're regular, typical molecules, and they have been electrically charged by one of two things, either the sunlight or the solar wind. They're some of the main ingredients that create the blue glow in a comet's ion tail. Ionized carbon monoxide is what we have. It is a one carbon atom and a one oxygen atom, a CO, and it's positive charged because it's lost an electron, which is a negative charge. So by losing a negative charge, the entire molecule now becomes positive. That's how that works. When the CO is hit by ultraviolet sunlight or excited by particles from the solar wind itself, it absorbs that energy. When it then turns around and releases that energy, it emits light at specific wavelengths, and many of those are in the blue and blue-green part of the spectrum. Where does it come from in comets? They contain frozen gases. We call them volatiles. When they warm up near the sun, the ice sublimates. It turns directly into gas, and then the sun strips off an electron. CO becomes CO positive. Nitrogen is also an ionized molecule. It's the same stuff that's made up of 78% of the Earth's atmosphere itself. It has been ionized, which means that it has lost an electron. And so once again, even the nitrogen, along with the carbon monoxide, has become positively charged because it's lost a negative electron. That's called ionization. It's turning into gas now, and when it emits the energy that it absorbs from either the sun or the solar wind or all of it, when it in turn emits energy, it also is in the blue and blue-green, especially at the wavelength of about 391 nanometers. That's the strongest blue signatures in comet ion tails. And of course, it comes from interstellar space. It's accreted this stuff. It's trapped in the ice and all that jazz for millions and millions of years. It's a fairly large chunk of whatever you want to call it out there, except a UFO mothership. It is not a UFO mothership. The radio signal that I talked about last night demonstrates that. So the blue, blue-green, violet end of the spectrum, and Comet Halley did this, Comet Lulin, and now 3I Atlas show a distinctly blue ion tail in long exposure color images. The dust trail stays white, sort of yellowish, and it can tint into red, that's for sure. But the ion tail, that turns blue. That's part of why 3I Atlas looks so dramatic right now. Those glowing blue colors come from comet gases that have been electrified by the sun and the solar wind. And when their excited atoms calm down again, they release blue light. It's a cosmic neon sign glowing across millions of miles. It's truly spectacular. You still have to use a telescope to see it. That's another reason why I don't think it's the blue Kachina, because that prophecy says everyone will just simply look up in the sky and see this thing flying around. You can't see this with the naked eye yet. You have to have a telescope, and not everyone can see it. So anyway, this prophecy does not come from ancient Hopi texts and or oral tradition. Unfortunately, the earliest version appears in the 1960s through the 1980s. Frank Waters, the Book of the Hopi, said he talked about it, but it's not in his book. Later New Age writers widely circulated the white feather prophecy that cannot be traced to verified Hopi sources. So it's a modern myth, not an ancient one. Now, it is a spiritual story. That's true. I mean, if one of the tribal elders insists that the Great Spirit taught him this prophecy, that's fine. But don't tell me it's an ancient prophecy from ancient texts. That has been pretty much ruled out with the evidence now. A historical prophecy from antiquity? No. So why do we blend this idea of comets with prophecy? Why indeed? Because these things inspire awe. They also terrify us. They also give us hope. They make for a great story because we can mythologize them. And they're a cosmic symbolism. So there's lots of reasons why they're really awesome when they show up. But here's the truth. The universe doesn't need to fulfill prophecy to be meaningful. It already is full of wonder simply by being what it is. 3I Atlas is not fulfilling the blue Kachina prophecy, but it is filling the sky with beauty. And that's what we need to appreciate, because this reminds us to lift our eyes up beyond our ordinary days and nights and lives. Get rid of the ordinary routines and let's begin to watch the wonder of our cosmos that we're in. That's a spiritual message worth keeping, in my opinion. So where does all this leave us? No. 3I Atlas hasn't been confirmed to break into 16 fragments. No. It's not the ancient blue Kachina prophecy from ancient times. Yes, it is an astonishing visitor from beyond our actual solar system. And yes, it teaches us that truth is often more awe-inspiring than sensationalizing stuff. Science reveals the real grandeur. Gas is glowing blue under the torch of sunlight. Think about that. That's incredible. Jets carving rivers of plasma across millions of miles out there in the cosmos. A traveler from another star system whispering in radio wavelengths, not words, chemicals. Let the myth inspire us. Let the science ground us. And let the beauty of the cosmos keep us humble and full of wonder and curiosity and a willingness to learn. Here's the really big part, that you and I are this star stuff. We are the conscious universe observing itself. And that's absolutely wonderful and awe-inspiring. So that's my backyard professor spiel tonight. I'll be back with more as I keep my eye on this 3-eye atlas. Appreciate all your support. Hit the like and subscribe. Hit that notification button. You'll see when I drop another video. Have a great night, and I'll be back just as soon as I can. I will catch up to you soon.